Welcome back to another episode of the Seattle Sports Show, where we love Seattle pro sports. I'm your host, Mikey, and today we are here to talk about what the Seahawks are doing, or maybe not doing, in free agency. All right, here we are, everybody. Let's talk about it. We're at the end of day 2 of free agency. You know, it's technically day 2 of the legal tampering period. Free agency will officially kick off. Everything can become officially official on Wednesday. But yeah, we're at the end of day 2. And wow, the Seahawks, they have signed Sam Darnold, as you know. On day 1. At the end of day 1, they went out and got a Josh Jones to be a utility offensive lineman since they released George Fant. And since then, they have done absolutely nothing. That is right. We got the Seahawks sitting on a pile of cash, sitting on all that cap space. That's what they are planning on protecting Sam Darnold with after signing him. All that cap space. I love that they have that cap space, but I don't love that they're not using it. What is going on here? We are getting offensive linemen getting traded for something that I don't think is that common, but offensive linemen are getting traded this season in the off season. Offensive linemen, they're going off the board already in free agency. They're getting signed. And I mean high-level players, not the Josh Jones. Nothing that's wrong with Josh Jones. I still like that signing. Yeah, you want that kind of guy to be, your sixth man on the offensive line to, step in when somebody gets hurt during a game, step in if he's got to step in for a couple of games if somebody gets hurt. He's good for that. But remember, just in the last few days, the Seahawks positioned themselves to have the 5th most cap space in the entire NFL. And they ain't using it. What is going on? Use it. Go get some of these guys. Will Fries today signed, and apparently they offered him the same money that he went to the Vikings for. The difference was the years. The Vikings gave him a 5-year deal. The Seahawks only offered him 3 years, and apparently they didn't want to do more than that. And I guess considering the injury he's just coming off of, you can understand why they wouldn't want to make that same offer of 5 years. You'd want to know that what you were getting into was going to be a healthy player, and he's going to be able to play at the level he was before this injury. But I mean, if that's the difference, this is where you got to put your money where your mouth is, John. All right, you said this, you realize that offensive linemen, offensive guards in particular, they're overdrafted, they're overpaid. And that you're going to have to do that this year. Well, you should have done that, because Will Fries gets signed. Ryan Kelly gets signed. And I'm talking about today. I mean, not even including yesterday with the center signing with the Bears. I mean, look at the Bears. Look at the Commanders. Look at... There's one other team that I've been watching in free agency and just been in awe of how much, I can't remember off the top of my head right now who the other team was, but there's three teams where I'm in awe of how much resources they are putting into their offensive line to change it right away, right? With the Bears, they obviously got to get that offensive line right away, so that's what they're focusing on. The Commanders, they saw what they just had in Jaden Daniels. They want to get even further. So what do? They improve their offensive line. I know there's a third team that is just escaping me right now, but I was watching them and going, wow, they just improved all of their interior offensive line, where the Seahawks have not done that yet. So, I don't know. I mean, it's great to have all that cap space, but if you're not going to use it, then I am very concerned about what we're doing in the offseason right now and where this is going to end up. I mean, don't sign Sam Darnold and not give him protection, all right? I mean, again, I am talking about Sam Darnold being the same type of quarterback that I was thinking about that we had in Geno Smith, right? These are not the players that there's quarterbacks that you win because of, and there's quarterbacks that you win with. I'm looking at Sam Darnold the same way as Geno Smith. You can win with him, especially with the type of contract that you've just given Sam Darnold, because you should be able to afford those offensive linemen to put around him to keep him upright and keep him protected. So the Seahawks are in a unique place where they're able to get that level quarterback and have the cap space available to get the pieces that they need to put around him to make sure that he's successful. Just haven't done that yet, but there's still a chance. I mean, let me look this up right now. Oh no, I think I about to type it in on the computer and bring it up, but if I remember right, I already have. I was looking at it on my phone earlier, so I can pull up this information. Okay, yeah. So, available still right now: Mekhi Becton, Kevin Zeitler, Brandon Scherf, Trayvon Jenkins, Josh Myers, Shaq Mason, okay, Will Hernandez. Though I think that's a good list of names right there that they need to shift their focus on now. To me, Kevin Zeitler was already one that I'm very interested in anyways. I know people are going to say his age. Well, he has not at this point shown any sign of falling off. And because of his age, if he's just going to keep getting 1-year deals everywhere, sign him to one of those 1-year deals to come here and improve your offensive line and help out Sam Darnold the way he's been helping every quarterback that's ever played for him. Right? So, Seahawks, John Schneider, please get this done, because we got the draft coming up at the end of next month, right? And I'm thinking, my whole thought process is, you got all this cap space. Boom, you can use that to set yourself up to where you don't have any dire, drastic needs by the time we can get to the draft. So you can really focus on just getting the best players available when it's your turn to pick. Because what have I been saying for multiple years in a row? That's what the Eagles have been doing. Every year, I have been watching the Eagles for the last 3-4 years in a row, saying, wow, they picked every player that I wanted the Seahawks to pick. If the Seahawks just did exactly what the Eagles did, then it would have been an A+ draft. And where are we now at this point? The Eagles winning a Super Bowl. With the Eagles able to play or pay their star players. That's right. Everybody's making a big deal about, oh, we had to trade DK because that's too much money tied up in the wide receiver position. Okay, we're talking about one player right now. Okay, look at the Eagles. They're paying AJ Brown. They're paying Devontae Smith. They're paying Saquon Barkley. They're paying Jalen Hurts. You know, they are paying offensive linemen. But they've done an incredible job of drafting, so they still have a ton of players on rookie deals that they can rotate in and take over spots and play a high level, give them high level play at those cheap rates to where they can do that. And when we made these moves, I was excited because to me it looked like we were putting ourselves to be able to be in that position. We use this cap space correctly, we can be in the same position where we'll have players on contracts while getting players, the best players that you can possible in the draft, so that way you're getting the highest level of play out of them while you can on those cheaper deals. And then, when it is their turn to get paid in 4 or 5 years, depending on where you drafted them, those players that you're playing high level play to right now in 4 or 5 years, you're ready to move on from them there, and you already have their replacements. You can pay some of those players that you really want to keep. And during those 4 or 5 years, hopefully you have been continuing to just draft all the best players available when they are available to you in the draft. I mean, because that's how you win championships, right? Is by having all the best players available, not just by drafting, well, that's the best player available for the need we have. No, just get all the best players. When it's your turn to pick, who's the best player, regardless of position, take them. That way you have them. And at worst, they don't work out, but you know that you already have somebody playing for you that you want, right? And then the next step below that is, well, they're good, but they're not good enough, so maybe they're trade bait. Right? They couldn't beat out the person you had, but you have this high level player that everybody else wanted that you can use in possible trades to get some sort of value back later, to keep recruiting picks in future drafts. We've seen good organizations do this, and I'd like to be back in the position where we are one of those organizations doing that. All right, so that's what I have to say about the end of free agency day 2. I wish I could say more. I wish I could talk about more exciting things, more exciting players that we signed, or the prospect and the ideas of what new players we're going to bring to the team and to the play, but I can't because they didn't do anything. They're just sitting on their pile of cash and waiting at this point, and I hope they don't wait too long. But we talked a little bit, a draft here, so I want to give you a little mock draft preview, right? This is not an official mock draft that we are going to run, but I did a mock draft the other day on my phone, and I saved it, and I wanted to share it with you guys because I did this before we signed Sam Darnold. And again, I was thinking it's likely we're going to sign Sam Darnold, and I was thinking, again, we're going to use all this cap space to go get offensive alignment so that we could focus on whatever we wanted to in the draft. And that is still possible. We're only 2 days into free agency, so I don't want to panic too much. I'm a little bit panicked, but I don't want to panic too much. So I'm still gonna give benefit of the doubt that that's what's going to happen. If that is what's going to happen, I kind of liked what I did in my mock draft that I did the other day. So I wanted to share it with you guys, give you a little preview, and get ready for the mock draft series coming up very soon. Today, the NFL officially announced the compensatory picks that all the teams are getting. And it's good news for the Seahawks. Okay, we were thinking they were going to get a fifth, a sixth, and a seventh. That was what we were expecting. Well, or no, we were thinking they were going to get a fourth, fifth, and a sixth, right? That was what was projected. Well, they ended up with now I'm confused. I can't remember for sure. Maybe it was a 5, a 6, and a 7. Well, anyways, we end up with a 4 and 2 5s. Either way, whichever way it was previously, what was projected, what we got is actually better than what was projected. So we actually going to have better picks than what I have in this mock draft, where they were still just going on what the projected compensatory picks were going to be. So maybe we can do even a little better than this, but I still, I like the outcome of this draft I did while I was on my phone. All right, so let's share it with you here. In the first round, and I didn't do any trades or anything. This was like something I did on my phone while I was on my commute on my way to work, while my wife was driving me to work. So didn't do any trades or anything. It's just kind of a quick thing. So no trades, nothing, just straight up the picks that we had available at the time. So let's look at this. Round 1, pick number 18, we get safety Nick Manwari. Oh my gosh, you guys watched the combine. You've watched this guy play. You've seen his highlights if you haven't watched him play by now. The guy is an absolute beast. 6'3", 220 pounds. Played for South Carolina. He's a junior, so he's still young, right? He's just 21 years old. But at the combine, we could see the level of play. So the level of play that he has is fantastic. We can see the production on the field. Then the combine only confirmed that, hey, this guy, he's got the size, he's got the length, he has a 4.38 40-yard dash, putting him at the very top. He had a 1.49 10-yard split, putting him at the very top. A vertical of 43 inches, putting him at the very top. The broad jump of 138 centimeters. I don't know what that translates to, but that's what they put it out here. But anyways, number 1 at the top. So it only confirmed, yes, this is the safety to be going after in this year's draft. And a lot of you wanted to kill me for saying Cooper DeJean was a guy that was going to be underrated and should be a first-round pick. Well, there he is, productive all year long. Gets his first interception of his career in the Super Bowl, which he then turned around and returned for a touchdown. Come on. When you have players who are this versatile and this athletic and Nick Manwari being the size that he is and having all these measurables, you don't pass up on that. Okay, so if you have the chance, and if the Seahawks use their cap space wisely. Remember, when I was doing this, I was imagining in my mind, oh yes, they've used, the 60 to 70 million cap space, whatever it was at the time, on it really improving that offensive line, getting a couple of on the defense to really make that defense one of the elite top 5, top 3 defenses in the league. Well, that hasn't happened yet, but so just remember, keep that in mind. That's what I was imagining when I did this one. Okay. As we do our mock draft series, things will change drastically and rapidly throughout the agency leading up to the draft as things change and they sign players, hopefully. But this was just imagination wise, right? Like if things go best as possible, they would be doing all those things, and we would be able to pick Nick Manwari at pick number 18, right? Oh, and did I mention? So I mean, this year, right? 4 interceptions, 88 tackles, 57 solo tackles, just amazing stats that Nick Manwari has been able to put up in his career. And just looking at this year, put up great stuff. All right, that's our first pick. Now let's get to our second round pick, which is going to be defensive tackle Dion Walker. Let me tell you about Dion. My goodness, right? 6'7", 331 pounds. All right. This year, 1.5 sacks, 37 tackles, 13 solo tackles. Now the thing with Dion Walker, obviously, big, huge guy. He can be that center. He can be that nose tackle of your defense, anchoring the middle of your defense that Mike McDonald really likes to have in his scheme, right? So 6'7", that's the tallest defensive tackle. He's got the height. I mean, he's got the weight, 331 pounds, so he's not going to be able to be moved easily off of his spot as a defensive tackle. He's a big dude, and he's got the arm length. Let's see here, 84 and a half wingspan, right? So he's going to be able to reach out, grab running backs trying to run by him. He's going to be able to get his hands in the air, bat passes down. For a guy that big, he was right in the middle of the pack for a 40 at defensive tackles, running almost 5-second flat 40. That's he got a 5.1, right? 5.10 at 6'7", 331 pounds. Right? And now, go watch this guy's highlights, okay? You're gonna like what you see. This guy, he's athletic. He's huge, but he also played, before, like focusing on football, he played basketball as well. So he's like this athletic guy. He's not going to just be your typical nose tackle that you think of like, oh, that's a big guy. He just holds that space in the middle and he doesn't do much else, right? No, this is going to be top end defensive tackle that you'll put at the nose tackle position, but he can really disrupt what teams are trying to do. He can really throw offensive linemen off of him, get into the backfield and chase running backs down and make tackle loss. Again, as I said, 13 solo tackles that he had, right? He can make it happen. He's athletic enough to be a disruptor like that. And again, you're bringing him in, young nose tackle. You're gonna have, I know we signed Jaron Reed, and we have Leonard Williams. Those guys a little bit, both over 30, right? So now you have Deion Walker, you got Byron Murphy. Those are your young guys that you have on those cheaper contracts right now, while you're really in making that defensive line become elite. Not just, we have a really good defensive line. Now you're becoming elite. All right? Top of the pack, best defensive line. You really have the guys that you are developing and preparing them to take over when Leonard Williams is contract is up in a few years, when a Jaron Reed contract is up in a few years, or at his, because he's even older than Leonard Williams, right? He's 32 or 33. So if his play starts to decline, you already have multiple guys ready to take over and on some nice rookie contracts, right? So that's Deion Walker. Got to look him up if you don't know him. All right, that's, again, remember, that's part of what the mock draft series that I do is all about too, is trying to share all the different possibilities of players that could be good in our system, rather than I think a lot of fans sometimes, they get stuck in a mode. They hear about a player and they think like, oh, well, we got to get that specific player in this specific round, where there's a lot of options in each round that can be very good for you and very interesting. And let's talk about that next interesting player that would be next up for you at pick number 52. Due to our trade with the Steelers for DK Metcalf, you're getting offensive guard Tate Ratledge, who I really connect with. Mustache, mullet, wears number 69. Everything is cool about this guy, right? Okay, let me tell you a little bit about his play, or about him in general, all right? 6'6", 308 pounds, a senior coming out of Georgia, right? So he's put in the work. I think that's going to be more and more important as we see college linemen coming out. With the NIL, nowadays players getting paid, more players are staying in school because they're getting paid and they're getting more reps. So we know that Tate Ratledge is good because he's on through school. He's not, coming out early. He's gone all the way through his senior year. Over, the years that he's played, that he has it. Okay, there's no question about that. Okay, but again, 6'6", 308 pounds. He's got shorter arms, 32 and a quarter inch arms. But again, we're talking, it's not as big of a deal. He's not playing tackle. We're asking him to play guard, where in a system where we want to have athletic guards, let's talk about how athletic Tate Ratledge is. 40 time, 4.97 at the top of guards, right? We are looking at his vertical, 32 inches. So that means he's explosive, right? Also at the top for guards. His broad jump, again, 113 centimeters, whatever that translates to. he's at the top as well. And his 3 cone, 7.38. Again, in the top percentile for guards. So, yes, he's above 90%, 95, close to 100% percentile in a lot of the athletic testing for offensive guards, which we really want in this system. We want our guards to get out and pull and get out and create that space for our running backs, right? And this is exactly what Tate Ratledge can do. All right, so there you go. There's Tate Ratledge. Let's get to the next pick. The next pick would be at pick 82, tight end Mason Taylor. Again, got this system. We really want to make sure that we have good tight end play here, right? I think we're on the way. Last year in my mock drafts, I kept getting. Gosh, now I'm looking at all these names. Now I'm trying. Oh my gosh. Who am I thinking of? The tight end from Michigan that we drafted last year. Anyways, he's looking like he's on the way, right? Noah Fant, I don't know. He was somebody I thought we were going to move on from by now. We haven't. So I'll be interested to see if they, how interested they're going to be in drafting a tight end. But if they do, Mason Taylor would, right? So let's tell you a little about Mason Taylor, son of Jason Taylor, by the way. He is 6'5", 250 pounds. He runs a 4.64 40, putting him, in the 82nd percentile amongst tight ends. He's got a motor as well. He can really block. As good of a receiver as this guy is, in this year at the tight end position, playing at LSU, 55 receptions, 546 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a 9.9 yards per reception average. Okay, so great receiver, but the combination of the fact that he is a phenomenal blocker as well is what makes me really say this guy can be good in our system, right? And great catcher, great hands. He can really use his body to, take advantage of smaller defenders to make those catches. He's, he grew up around football. He's smart. He's really good at finding those spots against zone coverage defenses and where to get to for his quarterback. But then, again, just the idea that is also a very good blocker and would hopefully continue to develop in that area in the NFL and continue to get even better at that. That's a guy I want on my team. Right? Let's go to our next pick here. Pick for 92, edge Jordan Birch. Okay, now we took care of the interior of the defensive line, right? Let's take care of the edge as well. We have Paul who's young, we have Mafe who's young, but they're sooner or later their contracts are going to come up, right? Very soon in the case of Mafe, I believe. And then at this point, we still have Uchenna Nwosu, but that's not positive that's going to happen. I know they extended the time period that they could before they have to pay him the bonus, so they could try to restructure a contract to keep him here, but no word on that yet. So he might not. There's still a chance he could be cut, and if that is the case, then yeah, you're really going to want to start drafting a player to develop to be a replacement there eventually. And with Jordan Birch, we're talking about a guy who is 6'4", 279 pounds. So again, well, let me pair it up with his 40 time. 4.67 at near the top of the 40 times for edge / defensive end players. Okay, so we're looking at the size and speed that Mike Macdonald really likes. We're looking at a player who is very versatile and athletic, the way Mike Macdonald likes. That would really, I think he would be a really good fit in a Mike Macdonald system here. And we're talking just this year, 8.5 sacks, forced a fumble, 31 tackles, 13 solo tackles in total. Again, played for Oregon, doing it against high-level competition throughout the year. So, guy's super athletic for his size, and I think the reason why he's being looked at around this area, like a 3rd round pick, why he's not at top of the draft, is because he hasn't fully developed all the techniques yet. But somebody like Mike Macdonald, that's what he prides himself on, right? That's what he always talks about. He prides himself on being a teacher. Can he teach and develop Jordan Birch how to play technically sound defense at the edge position and bring him up to the next level and get the most out of him? I'm thinking that somebody like a Mike Macdonald can do that. That's why he'd be worth drafting here at the position, and that's why he would be falling down to this point. But you can really get yourself a force if somebody's able to really hone that athletic ability that he has at his size. All right, so that's Jordan Birch. Let's go to our next pick, here's going to be the most unrealistic pick. It is now sounding like, which is insane to me how fast this guy has been rising. So if we end up having to take this guy in the 2nd or 3rd round, some people are saying maybe he'll even jump into the 1st round, which is insane. But I actually, I've been saying how much I do not want Jackson Dart. I would prefer this guy over Jackson Dart, no matter where you draft Jackson Dart. If you drafted Jackson Dart in the 2nd, if you drafted Jackson Dart in the 3rd, if this guy was still available, I would say, why didn't we do that instead? And I am, of course, talking about Tyler Shough. Tyler Shough is, let's tell you about Tyler Shough, okay? And that's how you know I'm actually doing the work and looking into these players. Just like last year with Malik Mustafa, everybody was saying Malik, but it was Malik. And I think there's a lot of people out there who just, whatever, they read reports and they go, okay, well, that's who I say I'm gonna pick because I see a bunch of other people saying that's who we should do. I just go on what I think we should do. Like personally, I'm not going to use somebody else's draft. You're not going to hear me saying just like the other day, I was watching somebody do a draft, and they kept saying Tyler Schaff, and they were so excited about Tyler Schaff, right? And they must have said his name like a million times because of how excited they are about Tyler Schaff and how he's shooting up the draft boards. It's like, have you actually looked into this player? Because if you have ever watched a game of his, if you've watched his highlights at all, you've watched any of his interviews, you know it's Tyler Shuck. It looks like Schaff, but it's Shuck. But again, that's why you can be confident that I'm actually like looking this stuff up, and I'm just not like repeating whatever other mock drafts that I see out there. And other mock drafts are out there again, like I said, and scouts and NFL, like NFL draft experts are now saying, like, I mean, it's at one point people were wondering if this guy was going to be drafted at all, and now again, like I said, people are saying he might go second or first round just because of how needy teams are at the position, right? So anyways, let's get into the details of Tyler Shuck, who is 6'5", 219 pounds, runs a 4.640, again, not blazing fast, but near the top of quarterbacks. A 1.61 10-yard split, again, near the top. A vert of 32 inches, a broad jump of 117. So, again, a lot of stuff near the top athletically. And then, just looking into his stats, 101.9 rating this season, 3,195 yards, a completion percentage of 62.7, 23 touchdowns to just 6 interceptions. And let's see here. I know he's athletic. I know Rush. So I want to pull up his. Oh, do they not have it here? I would like to pull up more season stats to get a detail, but yeah, I don't have it here. But the guy can run. He's athletic. He can move. He can scramble. This is a player who, the reason why they are thinking he's going to fall this far is because he has had injury issues throughout his career. There was the middle of his career, he had like 3 years in a row where he was hurt. Obviously, the first couple of years, just fine. When he was with Oregon, led them to a Pac-12 championship. Then, after he transferred to, where did he go to after Oregon? I want to say it was a Texas team. Let's see. At Texas Tech. That's where he was having injury problems. Then he goes to Louisville this year. No injury problems. Looks right back to where he started, where he could be a top prospect. So I mean, that's the reason why he might fall. He had those injury problems, and because of that, he used up all his available time. So we're talking about a guy who is going to be, he's 25 right now, but he will be 26 during the season. So he's an older prospect at the quarterback position. He's going to be a lot older than all the other prospects. So that might be one of the things that also hurts him, the injury history and just the age itself. But again, for me, for what a Tyler Shuck can bring you, potentially what you might be able to develop him into, I would willingly take the risk of drafting him with one of the second or third round picks if that's where he's going. If the Seahawks are really determined to use a first round pick on a quarterback, I would not want it to be Jackson Dart. I would want Tyler Shuck more than I want Jackson Dart. So, if Jackson Dart ends up going higher in the draft, I would rather, if you could trade down that first round pick into the end of the first round and still getting Tyler Shuck there, I would still do that. I think this is the type of player you can take that kind of risk on, because the potential upside is there, and the track record is there, that he's proven that he can be a winner. This is not an Anthony Richardson situation where you're all of a sudden all these teams become enamored with him because of the measurables, where Anthony Richardson didn't win a thing in college, only had 1 year as a quarterback, and couldn't even, as a starting quarterback, and couldn't even complete 50% of his passes in college. I mean, that's why the Colts have now brought in Daniel Jones to be his competition, right? It just was not a good gamble. There was nothing there to tell you that would be a good gamble. That'd be like sitting down at a poker table, right? And you have a high, you're about to play the hand of a high card jack, right? And you're hoping that's going to be better than everybody else at the table, and that you're going to win with that. No, you don't want that. I think with the Tyler Shuck, you don't have the best hand available in poker, but you'll feel more confident that, like, maybe you have, I don't know, you have 2 pair, maybe, right? And a decent cards enough to where you feel like this could potentially hit. This could be a winning gamble. So I would definitely take this kind. I'd be taking that kind of gamble on Tyler Shuck if the NFL draft experts are right, where Tyler Shuck is now going to shoot up the draft boards up that high. So this might be the most unrealistic pick that I have in this one, just based on how fast everybody's talking about him shooting up right now. Let's get to the next one. Let's get to our next pick. Pick 173, wide receiver Nick Nash, a guy who also played quarterback in college. Switched this last year to receiver. Can line up anywhere as a receiver. It's looking like he's good on the outside. He's good in the slot. He's really, he can really bring it. Okay, where was I? Gonna have to make an edit on this one. One of my kids woke up and needed something from me. Nick Nash. That's where I was. All right. Multi-talented guy. Again, played quarterback, can play, or he is playing wide receiver now, has converted to wide receiver. Can play anywhere at the receiver position, it seems like, outside, slot. And a guy who is in here 6'2", 203 pounds, so good size. He's 40, not blazing speed, right? A 4.5 40. His 10-yard split, again, just a 1.54. It's vertical 34 inches, broad jump 123. So everything there, he's just kind of average at. So, and again, not the longest history of playing receiver. I'm thinking that's why he's going to be, where we're picking him. Pick 173 towards the end of the draft, a day 3 pick. Because if you watch Nick Nash, you're going to see that though he's only got a 4.5 40, he does seem to really create separation when he's running his routes. He's only runs a 4.5 40, but on tape, watching him play, it looks better than that, because he's running by defenders, he's creating separation, and he's you know he's running good routes as a guy again who was formerly a quarterback. He's running great routes as a wide receiver. And again, to me, a guy who was, a mobile running quarterback who, is willing to stay with his team and make a change to wide receiver to help the team out and become, their star wide receiver, kind of just tells you the kind of competitive nature that this guy has, and that, he he has the drive to get it done and be good at whatever position it is the coach needs him to be good at. And we're talking senior year here, and a lot of these numbers are, again, he's playing at San Jose State, so it's not like he was playing the best competition, but a lot of these numbers are near the top of college football. 104 receptions this year, 1,382 yards, 16 receiving touchdowns, and a 13.3 yard per reception average. So this is a guy, that you're looking at. This could be potential. You signed Clint Kubiak, you signed like this amazing offensive coaching staff. Can they continue to develop this guy who's been playing receiver for just a couple years? Can they develop him into, filling that DK role? And he's not going to be like blazing speed, top of the league DK, but he is the type of receiver that can play on the outside, who you can call slants to, who creates separation, who has, to me at this point in his career, he has better hands than what DK had at this point in their career. He seems like he's really good at making contested catches, which sometimes could be an issue for DK. So I think this is a guy that you could take at this point in the draft and be really excited about what he could develop into. Right? So that's Nick Nash. Let's talk about our next pick, 187, getting an offensive lineman, our offensive guard, Joshua Gray. Joshua Gray, right? He is 6'5", 299 pounds. Again, you need athletic linemen here, right? Because of this system we're running. 5.04 40. Right. He's just a little bit, behind Tate Ratledge, I think. Or is he even like a 0.05 second faster than what Ratledge? Let me go double check. So I don't get it wrong. Either way, the point is here is we're getting some of the most athletic offensive linemen if we do this. No, Ratledge was definitely faster by like 0.1 second. But either way, we're talking about Joshua Gray, 5.0440, 1.73 10-yard split, 31 vertical, 104 centimeter broad jump. Very athletic guy. Again, an interior lineman who has the athleticism to be able to do what you want to do in this offensive scheme that Clint Kubiak is planning on running. So that's why you go get Joshua Gray. Again, somebody who's played tackle, he's played guard, he's at Oregon State, so it's just not the guy that will be potentially falling as far, or is projected to go around this range. And it's just not competition level isn't there, and there have been times where he's been beaten on tape, and when you're not going against the top competition anyways, then that's where it can kind of that's how it can affect you and where you land in the draft. All right, so Joshua Gray, though a lot of athleticism there, did have a good career and really has a chance to develop into something good. So that's where I would go there. Let's take a look at our next pick, which is going to be cornerback Caleb Branshaw. Some people might list him as safety as well. I think you'd be drafting him to be cornerback. I know sometimes he listed as safety, but when you go watch his tape, he is often lined up as the nickel cornerback when you see him playing. Okay, and so with Caleb Branshaw, he is 5'11", 97 pounds, runs a 4.33 40. So talking about second best amongst safety positions / corner. 10-yard split is a 1.52, near the top there. 3-yard, his vertical was 40 inches, raw jump 120. So again, both of those at the top of the league, of 90%, 94, 92%. And this guy, he's not going to have production with reception. So that's his thing. It's not great hands. This year, didn't have any interceptions, didn't have yards after interception because he didn't get any, obviously, right? So he's got 31 tackles, though, and 22 tackles. Now, again, see him line. That's why I have him as a corner, because you see him line up the nickel corner spot regularly. So this is the kind of guy you could have. You could see being like your next Kobe Bryant, right? Has played safety, but is lining up at the nickel corner spot a lot. So this is a guy that you can really have as multi-position player in that Mike Macdonald system, which he likes, so that he can really move those cornerbacks, those defensive backs around and defenses on who's doing what. So I think this is a player that you take at this point, and it's a player that you try to develop, right? We're at the point in the draft where we're not thinking that these guys are going to be the next Hall of Famers, but you want to develop into something. You never know, maybe you get lucky and you do get one of those type of guys. But I think Caleb Branshaw definitely has a lot of potential. Let's get to our last pick here. Pick 236, edge, Tyler Batty, right? Now, with Tyler here, 6'6", 271 pounds, edge player, very, very versatile. And again, being one of the bigger edge players, he'd really fit into what Mike Macdonald likes, being able to move around, right? But still, not defensive tackle size. So he's right in that range where you can use him at edge, defensive end / outside linebacker type of use, depending on what you're wanting to do on the play. This year, just 1.5 sacks. He did have 59 tackles, 33 solo. Did I mention all of his athletics yet? No. A 4.7 40, a 34 vert, 7.21 3 cone, 27 reps on the bench, 120 on the broad jump, a 10-yard split of 1.69. So again, everything here just kind of average to just slightly above average. And that's why he's not going top of the draft, right? He doesn't have all the athletic measurables that people at the top are going. But I believe, at the very end, basically the very end of the draft here, that's what you're looking at. Like, this is a guy that, at this point, take him and hope that you can take advantage of how much of a productive player he's been at the college level, and can he translate that into being just as productive at the NFL level? Because if so, he's got a pretty high floor. Again, you heard the amount of tackles he was able to get, and the other thing that's going to be holding him back as well, again, another guy, talking about age, somebody who is going to be 25 like a couple days after the draft. He's to BYU. He went on 2-year mission, so he's coming out of the draft older. So this is what you're going to get out of him. I think there's not a lot of, because of the age, there's not going to be a lot of thought like, he's going to keep developing into something great. But again, the high floor that he brings, can get somebody like him at this point in the draft and feel good that he would be somebody that's competing for a spot on the team. All right. And there you go. There is the draft. Here's a little recap of what we did here. Again, pick 18, safety Nick Emmanwori. 50, Deon Walker, defensive tackle. At 52, we get Tate Ratledge, the offensive guard. At 82, we get Mason Taylor, tight end. At 92, we get edge Jordan Birch. At pick 137, again, probably the most unrealistic one now at this point, thinking that you can in the 4th round. Tyler Shuck, you probably have to adjust that in future, when I get into the actual mock draft series, we'll have to adjust that because it's sounding like we're expecting that he's going to shoot way up the draft now. Nick Nash at 173, wide receiver. Our offensive guard, Joshua Gray. Cornerback / safety, Caleb Bransaw at pick 212. And at 236, Tyler Batty, edge out of BYU. Right, there it is. Let me know what you thought of this one. I'd really love to hear any feedback that you have on any of these picks. Again, we will be starting the draft series, the mock draft series very soon. So I would love to hear, is there any players that you think I should be focused on more, or players that you just really love that you want me to take a look at that possibly I haven't looked at yet? Let me know. And then, so leave all that in the comments, and then also comment, let me know, what do you think about Seahawks and John Snyder just sitting on that pile of cash that they have there in the cap space? What are we doing? You know, with the idea that I did with this preview of a mock draft, is that even going to be possible that we can do something like that? Or are we just, is he not going to do anything in free agency with the offensive line? And are we just going to have to go offensive line heavy in draft to hopefully get and achieve what we want? Let me know. All right, so comment about that in comments as well. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. Till next time, go Hawks.